Hey everyone, this is Stephanie O'Brien, founder of Coach Client Connection, and today I'm joined by Ken Williams, and he's going to share how people who struggle to fulfill SMART goals, which you've probably heard of, the S.M.A.R.T goals, how people who struggle to reach those goals can use a different method, which he calls stupid goals, to reach their goals and to get the outcomes they want, even if they've struggled with normal methods. So thank you very much for joining us, Ken.
So happy to be here. I love talking about stupid goals.
I'm looking forward to having this conversation because I am very curious. So, for those who aren't familiar with SMART goals, could you quickly define what they are and why they don't work for some people?
Yeah, SMART is an acronym. Typically, we think of SMART meaning specific, the S, M, measurable, A, attainable, R is relevant, and sometimes we think realistic, but relevant, and T is time bound. And the problem is, this is a framework that was set up in the 1980s by a guy who's working with a business to set better business goals. And the A was not supposed to be attainable. It was supposed to be assignable. If you have, for example, a business goal that we're going to increase sales by 25%, we've got to know who to assign parts of that goal to. And so it was assignable. There are people that have decided to call it smarter goals. There's an E and an R. The problem with SMART, though, is that, first of all, it's used all the time in business. And if somebody comes to you, Stephanie, and says, I'll use we're going to increase by 25% again. We need to increase by 25%. You're responsible for an increase in 10% of your part of the business. The problem is that's not your goal. That's the business's goal. And that has kind of bled into the way that we typically set goals. So it's not oftentimes, and maybe the majority of the times, it's not my goal. It's somebody else's goal. It's not my goal. It's my boss's goal. It's my wife's goal. It's my mom's goal. It's my best friend's goal. Well, you really should want to promote. You really should want to do something different. You really should want to lose weight. You really should want to, any of the things that hey, I'm going to run a marathon. You should want to run a marathon with me. And so we pretend to set goals that are not our goals. And we just can't get as excited about a goal if it's not our goal. So there are a couple of other issues, but that's one of the big things. We set goals that are not really connected to us in any way.
Yeah, and I think for coaches, a lot of that issue can come from choosing the wrong mentors. You see someone who's really successful, who's good at marketing, who gets you to rush to the back of the room and buy their stuff. And then you find
Right.
out that using their method just isn't fun. It doesn't fit your personality. You don't enjoy doing it. So it's really hard to force yourself to keep doing it. I've learned if somebody, even no matter how good somebody's method looks, no matter how much success they've had, I don't think I'm going to enjoy doing it enough to do it long term. I just don't buy it because even if it is good, it's not good for me.
Right. And and that's part of it. Part of it is do what you get excited about. Do what you love. That's the I in stupid. It's got to be inspiring. You've got to be excited about it. So if I decided to set a goal to run a marathon, I hate running. I get so bored running. And so I might run down to the end of my driveway and realize this is not for me. And so on the other hand, I can set a goal that's not um, super, I'll just say exciting, but there's something inspirational about it. One of the reasons that I found this, or the way that I figured it out, is my father-in-law was a ham radio operator, and he passed away about a year ago. And so there was the opportunity to inherit his call sign. And so my son's going to do that. I decided that it would be fun for me to have a similar call sign. And then what if one of my other family members had similar call signs? I found four that are almost identical. It's just one character that's different on each one. And I just had this mental kind of a flash that he had his call sign on his license plate. What if the four of us had matching ish call signs? And I could just see in this instant our four cars lined up, and we've got N1 AWK, N2 AWK, N8 AWK, and then my father-in-law's was N9 AWK. And I thought, that would be so cool. A little bit inspiring. And I don't understand ham radio. I don't know what I'm doing. But that little bit of inspiration was enough to push me to go after getting my license when it was driving me crazy. My wife thought it was funny that I was dying. This is killing me trying to study for this test that I just don't get. But if it's something that you're excited about, then you will move heaven and earth to get to that goal. If it's my boss's goal, I don't care. And so that's why by the end of January, most people have given up on their resolutions.
Yeah, I'd love to hear, the full explanation of this, stupid goals, what each letter is short for, and why it's highly relevant for people who struggle with SMART goals.
Yeah, there's some things about SMART goals that are really good. Like if I want to lose some weight, there's no definition of some. So is some a pound? Is it 50 pounds? Is it somewhere in the middle? And so we've got to have something that's a little bit more clear than just some. I want to make more money. You got to be clear. So I like that in the SMART goals. In the stupid goals, we start with a stretch. A lot of times we set a goal. I know I can do this. I know I can run a half a mile because I've been able to run a quarter of a mile. Well, that's not much of a stretch. So a stretch might be I'm going to run a marathon if I'm not a runner, or I'm going to lose 25 pounds when I'm not consistently losing weight. So it's got to be something that's going to stretch us. It should be maybe a little bit terrifying. T is tangible. It has to be something that you can really experience with your senses. And if you think about visualization or manifesting, things like that, which is not something that is required for the stupid goal, but it helps to be able to have a tangible idea of what it's going to look like when you accomplish your goal. If I weigh 210 pounds today and I want to get down to 185 pounds, then I can stand on the scale and I can see it says some number, and that's going to be a tangible result. So we need to have something that's tangible.
Or like clothes in
You,
your closet you'll fit into again.
yeah, and so there'll be something even like that. I like that my clothes fit better, and that's a result, but that's not a goal for my clothes fit better. Maybe move to a different notch on my belt or something like that, but something tangible, something that you can actually see or hear or touch
I
or
can zip
maybe
up my skinny
taste.
jeans again.
That's exactly. So you is unshakable. You have to be totally committed to your goal. And this is where a lot of times we fall short. We just are kind of committed to, we kind of like the idea that maybe it would be fun too. So, weight loss, I was not looking necessarily to lose weight, but I wanted to change my health. I wanted to improve my health. And so I made a decision that I would start intermittent fasting. And I didn't have a specific target for weight, but intermittent fasting can be pretty clear. So for 30 days, I decided I am not going to eat breakfast. That's tangible. I'm not going to eat snacks. That's tangible. I'm only going to eat lunch and dinner. I didn't have any caloric requirement or limit, but I had those two rules. For 30 days, I'm not going to eat breakfast. I'm not going to eat snacks. Now, I would eat the snacks with a meal. I just wouldn't snack because I realized I've gone for years, literally, and I was never hungry. I did not feel hunger for years. And so it kind of felt good to feel hungry every once in a while. But I was committed to that. One of the things I love to do when I'm driving is I'd snack sunflower seeds, carrots, celery, even the healthy things. And we were going on a family trip where we'd be driving for several hours, but I had committed I'm not going to eat snacks. And so I've got my kids, my wife offering, hey, would you like to have the carrot sticks? No, thanks. I've decided I'm not going to, for the month, eat carrot sticks. So the result was 30 days later, I was committed. I was totally committed to myself. And the byproduct of that was I lost about 10 pounds.
Right.
And that's so, but the important thing is you've got to be totally committed. And there's some tactics that will help you do that that maybe we'll get to in a bit. So the P is it's got to be possible. And when I say it's possible, it doesn't, I don't mean it has to be possible in a way that you know how to get to it. Writing a book is possible because millions of people have written books. I may not know how to do it, but it's possible. Running a mile in 45 seconds may not be possible. So that may not be a great goal. And there is a time to have an impossible goal. There are reasons for that, but that's not what we're talking about. So something that's possible, I may not know how to do it, but I'm pretty sure I can find somebody who can teach me how to do it. That's where coaching, mentoring comes in to play a big part. I has to is inspiring. It has to be something that excites you. If you're not excited about your goal, what's the point? Why do it? And then the D is just a reminder we aren't worried about the finish line. We're worried about the development, who we become. I became over that 30 days, I became somebody who didn't depend on snacks. So there's an identity shift. Um, as I was working on my ham radio license, I became a person who could understand enough of difficult concepts that I could pass a test. So that's the acronym. It's got to be something that is a stretch. It has to be tangible. It has to be. I have to remember how to spell stupid. It has to be. You have to be unshakable. It has to be possible. It has to be inspiring, and it's about all about your development. And just a quick thing on the development. If the way that I like to think about this is running a marathon, which I probably will never do in my life, but some people like to do it. If it were about crossing the finish line, you could drive up to the finish line and cross it. You could get your picture taken and you would have all the evidence that you crossed the finish line. You could get the t-shirt, you could get the medal, you could pay enough money to somebody to get anything that you want related to that, but that doesn't mean that you've done a marathon. It's not the finish line that we're interested in. We think we are, and that's one of the problems with the SMART goals is we put so much focus on the finish line that if we don't cross the finish line, we think we failed. But if we think about who we became as we were working towards our goal, we became the person that is able to run 26.2 miles. And that is much more important than the person who has the picture on the wall with the the photo finish or the medal or whatever it is. That
Yeah.
can be faked.
That just reminds me of being in Hawaii during the, I think it was 2011 tsunami. I don't know if I'm getting the year right, but yeah, there was, earthquake in Japan causing tsunami in Hawaii. It was an inconvenient night, but then seeing the t-shirts pop up over the next few days, I survived the Hawaii tsunami. You didn't
Right.
survive crap. Like, unless you were dumb as a rock, there was nothing to survive. Like, unless you were those two guys who I heard about on the radio running with their surfboards to the beach to meet the tsunami, you
Oh
didn't
my
survive
goodness.
crap.
Right. That's funny.
Yeah, I do like how internally oriented your goal setting system is, and how it addresses a lot of these holes, like these psychological holes in the SMART goals, to make sure that yeah, it does stretch you, but it's still something that develops you as a person, and that it's actually aligned with your real goals. So if
Hmm.
somebody's having trouble, figuring out what inspires them. I know some people say people who have been raised in very people-pleasing environments
Mm.
who have lost touch with what they want, they don't even know what inspires them. Do you have any strategies for helping them to realign with what inspires them and to figure it out, figure out who they want to be when they grow up?
Yeah, this is a very common issue because we spend our whole lives giving our parents what they want, then giving teachers what they want, then giving bosses what they want, giving professors in college or maybe roommates or a partner, and we lose touch with what we want. And so the tactic that I use, and it's worked really well for me and with people that I've worked with, is instead of looking forward, instead of looking towards what you trying to create an idea of what's going to be exciting, look to your past. Look to think about the moments in your life that have been really inspiring, moving. So an example for me, and an easy way to do it is grab your phone and just look at your camera reel. What are the things that were so important that you decided to document them? And so maybe um, I I went on a trip with my son, who was 12 at the time. We went to Europe for 2 weeks, and I have 650 pictures. So
Wow.
as I go through my camera reel, I'm going to find things, and they're going to fit into one of four categories. The four categories are going to be something that we accomplished. That would be I completed the marathon, or I got the MBA, or I got my pilot's license, or something that we worked towards and we completed. It's going to be an object. I bought the convertible that I wanted, whatever it is. It's going to be a an experience. I went to Europe, or it's going to be a relationship that I did a road trip with my buddy who's blind. And so, and the way that you can kind of tease apart whether it's an experience or a relationship is if the person that you did the thing with was something that you would do again or something that was meaningful, then it's an experience. And if the person doesn't matter, I would go on a trip to Europe with my son or with my wife or with my best friend. So for me, I discovered that experiences super important. What also is really important is the relationship. So I went on a road trip with my buddy who's blind. And if I did a road trip with somebody else, it may not be quite the same. But as I went through this process, I discovered achievements or accomplishments didn't light me up like the experiences and the relationships did. And so what that means, once you've figured out of those four, what is most important to you, and for me, it's experiences and relationships. That's the language you're going to use when you set your goals. So if I said, and the way I figured this out was I had a goal to buy the the black convertible. I couldn't get myself to move towards it because things aren't that important to me. It's the experiences and the relationships. So I can create a goal that will lean into the experience or the relationship. I want to um, generate a certain level of income in my business because, not because I want the money in the bank, is because that's going to let me visit my grandson, for example. I'm going to have the relationship. I'm going to have the experience. And so as you re as you adjust your goals, you're going to use the language that lights you up. If I had a guy that worked for me one time who was an object oriented person, and he had actually a model of the car that he was working towards on the top of his computer. Great. Use that. So and I would use that as motivation. Here's where you are, here's where you can be, and you're going to be this much closer, this much faster if you um, remember you're working towards getting that car. So, but that will help you frame the language of your goal and find something that lights you up. The other thing, just really quickly, is that a lot of times we have the Simon Sinek idea start with why, or we have the Stephen R. Covey idea begin with the end in mind, and that's very intimidating for a lot of us. So start small. Start with something. You don't have to set your marathon goal today. Set your I'm going to go for a walk every day, and I'm going to see how it goes. And so for me, one of my goals was I wanted to be able to do 100 push-ups without stopping. I like I have almost a year in a row every day that I've been doing push-ups, and I thought let's do 100 push-ups. That'll accomplish a couple things. And I realized that I got I don't know if it was a pulled muscle or something like that, but physically I was not able to get to that goal. Well, if I put so much emphasis on the achievement, then I would just power through it. And that might damage myself. I don't want to do that. So test out your goals. See if you like it. If you decide you want to write a book, write a chapter and see if you like it. Spend a couple days in a row trying to figure out um, what is it going to take for me to write a story, even if it's not a full chapter. And you may decide, I hate this. Well, then change the goal. It doesn't, you don't have to write a book. You can do anything you want. So if you find something that you get really excited about, then you just start building on it.
Yeah, I think it's really valuable to remember that you're allowed to experiment. You don't have to commit to fully finishing every single thing you start. It's okay to, start on something and realize, you know what, I'm not enjoying this, and it isn't, necessary for something that's, mandatory or really important in my life. I'm allowed to let it go. I sometimes tell my clients, look, you don't have to do every single thing on your to-do list. If you need to make time to say build your coaching program, it is okay to look at what's low priority on your to-do list and postpone or delete it to make room for
Yeah,
something more important.
exactly. Yeah, and this was one of my problems with SMART goals is that missing the target was equated to failure in
Mm.
my mind. And not just that I failed about the goal, but I failed because I'm a failure. And that's simply not true. And it would be like I used to be able to jump high enough to hit the basketball rim. I'm not as strong and I'm heavier now than I used to be. But if I'm trying to achieve something that I'm just simply not capable of doing because I don't have the strength or um, the the skill set or the physical ability, that doesn't mean I'm a failure. It may mean I just set a bad goal. I just set a bad timeline. If I thought so, today as we're recording this is a Tuesday. Yeah, let's just say I think it's Tuesday, right? Let's just say by next Tuesday I want to lose 45 pounds. Well, and there are unhealthy ways that I could do that. I could lose a couple legs, for example, and that would probably be about 45 pounds. Not healthy, and not achieving that 45-pound weight loss doesn't mean I'm a failure. It means I guessed wrong. I just had a bad idea about what I was capable of. Writing a book in 7 days, maybe I didn't accomplish that because I just didn't have complete information or I had bad information. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. It just means I guessed wrong. Oh, so my capacity is, let's just say, 2 pounds a week. So for me to lose 45 pounds, I need to go out about 4 months. And so now but I've got something to kind of benchmark. So now I can use that as my target. Let's go 4 weeks or 4 months out, and maybe we'll see better where that's going to take me.
Yeah, it reminds me of one piece of advice I'd gotten about different types of gold. I'm trying to remember if I got the acronym right. Yeah, MVP, like minimum goal, visionary goal, and I think the other one's PAR goal. Basically, let's say you're going to a networking event. My minimum goal is I want to meet and follow up with 3 people. Visionary goal is I want to maybe follow up with 15 people and turn 3 of them into clients. PAR goal, maybe I want to follow up with 5 people. So do you tend to include something like that in your strategy where they've got minimum, visionary, par, something like that?
Like that, I call it simple goals. I call them slog goals, and I call them certain goals. So a minimum, or the minimum would be something that's really powerful is to keep track of how many days you do something. So I have a goal. I'd mentioned push-ups, and so I'm just going to give you the exact number here. I decided I want to be a person who does push-ups. I want to focus on my health, and I'm not going to go crazy. So so every day I'm going to do, and the minimum is it has to be stupidly simple. It has to be so easy that you can almost not fail. And so my daily count for push-ups is 291 days in a row that I do at a minimum one. The great thing is this tricks our brain because if I think, well, I'm going to go to the gym and work out for 2 hours, my subconscious is going to say, you look at all the things that you have to do. It's not really your all the excuses. So if I dial it back, let's have a minimum. I'm going to do one push up a day. And while I'm down on the ground, it is so easy to say, well, I might as well do two or three or five or 10 or whatever. So it is rare that I only do one, but that's the minimum. The slog, once you decide that this is something that you want to continue, that's the slog. This is where it's not fun. And so you might have something like, I'm going to walk a mile every day. You've ramped it up a little bit. This is, you're still kind of testing things out. I might want to do the marathon. I might not. So let's just try it. Let's walk for a mile every day. And there are going to be the days that I just don't feel like it. But this is where you've got to be unshakable. I have made a commitment to myself that I will not go to bed until I've walked my mile, whatever it is. I've written my 1,000 words. And that's the unshakable. You have to be willing to commit to yourself and not give up on that commitment. And for me, I have my to-do list. If there's something I really don't want to do, like gather my stuff for my taxes, I really did not want. I'll put it on tomorrow's list because I don't want to do it. Tomorrow, Ken, he'll do it. That's his problem. But then when I see it, I'm on my list, I've got to get it done because I am not going to allow the day to pass. So sometimes the goal is a slog. The certain goal is if you get to the point where you are now consistently slogging through your goal, if and as you realize with the marathon, maybe a mile, no problem. Now I'm going to run a mile a day. Now I'm going to do 2 miles. You're going to get to the point where all you have to do is not give up and you're going to hit your marathon. If you're writing 1,000 words a day, all you have to do is not give up and you're going to hit your book. All you have to do is not give up and you're going to maintain, you're going to increase your health. For my 30-day intermittent fasting, all I had to do was not give up for 30 days. And I was down, it was 10 or 15 pounds. And so that's where, for me, goals get exciting because as long as you just don't give up, you're going to hit your goal. It's guaranteed.
I like how those kind of build on each other and they're very, they're tangible. They're, like you were saying, certain. There's something that you know you can do. And I've, as a writer, you know, as I'm, in addition to being a coach, I'm a fiction author. I found that it can be really powerful to just start writing and have absolutely no goal whatsoever for how much you're going to write. Just start writing until you run out of words. And I've had times I thought, like, I felt like I was going to only have enough brain power for one or two sentences. I wound up writing hundreds or even thousands of words.
Yeah. Well, and that's, we have this, our subconscious is so deceitful. It is so interested in its own self-preservation that it wants to be right. It wants to be safe. And the way that it makes itself right and the way that it keeps itself safe is it keeps you from doing the stuff that you think you want to do. And so, and you'll start to maybe find evidence that maybe writing the book is going to be too hard, or maybe the losing the weight is going to be take a lot longer than you thought, or whatever. And so, all you have to do is just push through it. Just do the thing on a consistent basis. And once you start the writing, sometimes that block then opens up, and which is why journaling gets to be so powerful anytime that you're trying to figure out some way to kind of break through whatever's keeping you stuck.
That makes sense. So thank you very much for sharing all these great tips. If somebody wants to, learn more about how to implement stupid goals, or if they want to, get your personal help with this, what are their next steps?
Well, I've got I call it a stupid goal anti-planner because I'm anti SMART goals. And I've got that on my website. You can go to my website, kenwilliamscoaching.com. It's just like it sounds. I don't do creative spelling with my name, kenwilliamscoaching.com/stupid. And that's going to take you to my stupid goal anti-planner, and it will help you. It'll outline these 5 letters and then give you some things to kind of journal on to help you find things that you can get excited about, set goals that are going to change your life.
Awesome. So, for those of you watching, I hope you'll check that out. And of course, depending on where you're watching this, whether it's on my blog, my YouTube, my social media, it'll be in the description or the post. So it'll be the link will be where you can easily find it. Oh, thank you again very much for joining us, both to Ken and to everybody watching. Thanks for joining us. I hope you all have an amazing day.